Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are in a bit of an odd situation. I started a live stream, and everything around me seems to have changed.
It's a time warp.
It's a time warp. I got sucked into a vortex.
You got portaled
into an alternate reality where it seems to be another YouTube channel of some sort. But today we're talking about an individual's book, which she is said to have published today.
That's right. Hot off the press. And it's barely hold it. The Healing Stone. And this is science fiction, fantasy, Christian, historical, all wrapped up into one, and also can be used as an apologetic device for your Muslim friends.
So fantastic. Okay, so that's our topic for today, and we're doing it in your studio, not my own. So this is a bit of a change up for me, but okay, I'll go with it. I'll roll with it.
It works.
Good.
It works.
Everything is good. So we are going to also be giving away one of the books, you said.
That's correct. So we're looking for the best question answered during the live chat. Even if it's just one question that's asking about the weather, and nobody asks a better question than that, you will be the winner of the ebook version of this story. We will give you the sign-up link for that, and you get your very own copy. So, yeah, that's the idea.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about this, why we should care, what's going on with
So this it is primarily a science fiction story written just for entertainment, but also puts Christians as the main characters, and they're the good guys in this. And we see so much in literature today where it's not. But it also has the advantage of being put into Spain during the Middle Ages. And this is where you see the conflict between the Muslims and Christians. Physical combat. This is jihad, 800 years worth of back and forth. And although some have called it a golden age, we're showing it in the book that it is not. Now, there's another book that's out there that we would highly recommend, and we talked about it last night on Hatun Tash's channel, and that is The Myth of the Andalusian Paradise by Dario Fernandez Morera. Sorry. And he does a really good job, and this is filled with facts showing that the so-called golden age of Islam in Spain is not golden. It would be very much like what you see what's going on in the strictest countries of Islam right now. Sharia all the way, and pillaging, robbing, raping, burning, all the above to be able to get the land, and how they were eventually pushed back. And that's where this comes in. It's showing it from a different angle. This book is showing it from the facts of what's happened to with Andalusia, because about a third of this book is all references, and they're not just Western references. Quite a few of them are Islamic references. We went through some of those last night.
Very interesting, because I've been told by many Muslim apologists that, the golden age in Islamic Spain was such a great time of equality and cooperation. So many rights were given to the Muslims, to the non-Muslims, the Christians, and the Jews. They all lived together in harmony.
So we went through a list of things last night talking about the different things that all the restrictions that were on both Christians and Jews, how they had to wear certain garments. They couldn't dress any better than the poorest of Muslims because they would make them feel bad. There was two sets of laws, two-tiered legal system, one set for Muslims, one set for Christians, where a Christian and a Jew would be under far more restriction and far greater penalties than if you were a Muslim. All this is going on, and even the Jews had to wear this yellow band or a yellow cap. And I thought, boy,
that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with any amount of history at all.
Recent history, yeah. So this was all going on. This is not golden age, and even if you were a Muslim living during this time. They were very strict according to the Maliki school of jurisprudence, where they would just this way or no other. And they would persecute, they would burn books of philosophy and so forth. So yeah, no, this was not a golden age.
Burn the Bible,
yeah,
all the fun stuff. Yeah, that's so much tolerance.
Yes. So for those who would say, given recent events, how Muslims or Christians or nobody should ever burn another holy book at all. And that's exactly what they were doing. So
it's interesting to go on that topic with the gentleman who died last night.
Yes.
So going on to better topics.
So there were plenty of, another one was all the martyrs, the Christian martyrs that were there
martyrs,
too.
Yeah.
Jewish martyrs too, that are persecuted. It's like either convert, die, pay the jizya until we bludgeon you to death or socially bludgeon you until you become a Muslim.
See, that's definitely not talked about by the Dahlweiss at all. They'll talk about how wonderful it was, how, they had the freedom of religion. They had the freedom of religion to be a Muslim or die.
Right. And so that's where this book gives the facts, backs it up with references that they're all cited in here. This takes some of that and puts it into a story form. So where you have facts on one side, here and now you put a face on it and make it more enjoyable reading. So why fiction? Why waste the time with fiction?
Why are you asking me that question? You're the writer.
Okay, so first of all, Jesus spoke in parables because it was a way to get around people's prejudice. That was one reason for it, not the only reason. But one way to get around people's walls that they would put up to say, I've heard it all before, and then he tells a story. He says, the kingdom of heaven is like this, and people's ears are now more attentive and open to it. So if somebody is resistant to just plain facts, there is another way to get around, and that is through storytelling. If there's any question about the veracity or power of that, just look at the power of that Hollywood has had on the way that not only Americans think, but Western culture and beyond have thought about different things because it's presented. Our heroes are presented a certain way in Hollywood. And increasingly, we see that a lot of those heroes or the villains in these cases are Christians or people who would carry a Judeo-Christian ideal to say that those are the bad guys for whatever reason. And so now I think it's our job not to just stand back and say, well, I don't have anything to do with it, but I think it's our job to get in there and change that culture. And that's where we engage it and do things like this. And so now we have a main character in here who is thrown into this conflict between Muslims and Christians and actually sees physical combat, slavery, and other things that are involved in there too. The main thrust is not putting up a defense against for Christianity necessarily, but it does through storytelling, and that's the main advantage.
It's very interesting you referred to slavery. So there's slavery in the book in some regard. I was told just last night during the live stream that Islam does not promote slavery, that it condemns it.
Wow. Well, we had our list of quotes of actual things happening there. Yes, slavery increased under Islamic control of Spain. It was a part of the system. It was part of all cultures back then anyway. But if you look at how Islam just accelerated it because of what is written basically in their scriptures. And
industrialized it.
So that's basically it.
It took it from practice and made it an industrial complex of slavery on its own.
Yeah, and not just for physical labor, but sexual slavery as well is a big part of that.
Yep. So we've hit that. We wanted to get questions from you guys here. Best question gets the comment. We got questions so far.
All right. What is the best question to ask? And was that the best question itself so far?
My wife has a sense of humor.
It is. You have the best question asked so far. Yes.
So that's the backdrop to this. That's what's going on in this story here. So you're covering it from a different perspective.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, let me throw something a little bit out there too with this, to say that it's more than just, I was just saying how the book can be used, but let me give you a little bit of background about the story in there. So this happens in the year 1212 AD, around there. It starts earlier and then ends a little bit later and stuff like that. But that's the main time frame that it happens. And the war for control for time reaches a critical moment. So I told you it's science fiction. Time travel is involved in here. And that's a key element, although you don't see a whole lot of time travel happening. It reaches a critical moment. At the heart of the struggle is Francisco, a young man who wields a mysterious healing stone. He has no idea that he is the one of 6 recruits foretold to end the time war. As both factions of the time war are trying to win him over, Francisco must navigate the line between healer and warrior, faith and doubt, and choose a side that will span millennia. Thank you. So this is part of a series. There's others that are in there. I will say that in future events, we will see Islam in Africa as well. So that is in a future book. Not this.
So cool.
One.
So you're covering some of the common Dawa point to time periods.
Was that another one too?
Well, you got the
Africa.
They really want to appeal to Africans. They really want to suck it in. This is the African religion, a lot of ways.
Sure.
Christianity is a European religion, and Islam is the African religion. No,
that was imported. So if you want to look at sub-Saharan Africa, what would be the primary religion of sub-Saharan Africa?
I do not know. What would be the primary?
Aminism, shamanism, things like that.
What they would include as paganism.
Yeah, just overall. I'm just looking at history. So
we have got a couple of trailers here, and you wanted some feedback.
Yeah. So there are 2 trailers that I have, and one I am going to be debuting right here on this channel, and that's number 2, trailer number 2. Trailer number 1, that one right there. That's the first one we're going to be doing. Yep.
Okay.
And what I would like from you guys is say, okay, which one do you like the best of these 2? And we'll show them both to you, get an idea, and then we'll go from there.
Here we go.
All right. Very quick.
Might need a different aspect ratio.
Because it fills in. Yeah, that was meant more for like Instagram things that are square. And so, yeah, we have our faces in there. So that's trailer number 1. Let's check out trailer number 2. And you guys tell me which of the 2 you like the best.
What would you do with the stone that heals anything? Make money? Keep yourself alive? Keep your family alive? I have that stone. Simple looking thing. Been in my family for generations. My father told me to do no harm lest I break the charm. My father's dead. My mother too. My uncle will kill for this stone. Has killed for it. He tried to kill me for it. So I ran. I live on the streets of Toledo. Before my father died, he told me to heal as many as I can. So I stay in the shadows and keep it hidden. But they found me. The ones who want the stone. What would you do with the stone that heals anything?
All right.
And we're back.
So those 2, the question is, which one looks the best? Gets the message across the best, and you just personally like it the best.
My wife has a vote. She says this one, number 2. I would happen to agree.
Great way to start the stream. That's what
I said
I
that
said
we
I had
should
to
put
review.
it in the beginning.
Yeah, we
I
could have done
said
that. We could have
It's
done
the
that.
intro.
Yeah, but I wanted to debut it here with this like that. So for what it's worth. All right, so we've got the vote so far. So far, that's for the winner, and we might just put that in the background a little bit and wait for other ideas. Should have for sure. Okay.
That's all good, all good, all good. So we've got that going on. Fantastic. So you want to give a little bit of history behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Here?
So a lot of people don't realize what happened. They think of Islamic Spain, okay, you had maybe the fall of the Roman Empire, and there's a lot of mix-up that was happening then. And then so you just had some Muslims that were there in Spain, and they were there for a long time, and then they got kicked out by the mean old Christian kingdoms for whatever reason, just because they're so bigoted. They needed to kick people out. That wasn't the case at all. So let's start with the expansion of Islam at the very beginning. So this is right after Muhammad died. You can see the dark green region around Mecca, Medina, and how that quickly expanded into the rest of the Arabian Peninsula and then outward. Eventually, it had made its way across northern Africa and into Spain, and it crossed the Straits of Gibraltar in 711, and supposedly by invitation, but it's one of those guests where you invite in, and then he brings his brothers and his cousins and the rest of his family. Before you know it, you're booted out because that whole nation is there instead. And they were so powerful. They came across, and the conquering was so brutal and vicious. You can pull it off and go back to the screen again. It was so vicious and brutal that it crossed over the Pyrenees Mountains and into southern Spain, southwestern Spain, along the Pyrenees Mountains. And the Charles Martel himself, who was Charles the Hammer, who ruled the Frankish kingdoms at the time, was able to push them back only by brute force, so that the invasion into the rest of Western Europe didn't happen. If he didn't make that stand, there's a good chance that Western Europe could have fallen to Islam at that time, and who knows what Western Europe would look like right now if that were the case.
Absolutely. So I'm going to pull that map back up. Do remember that Islam, that conquering is just a part of the bloodstream of Islam, literally. So you have Muhammad's expansion there in the dark green. You have slightly lighter green for Abu Bakr's expansion. Remember, he only reigned for 2 years after the death of Muhammad. Then you have the forthrightly guided caliph, according to them, at least that's what they call him, Ali, whose expansion was a bit further along than that. So it's always expand. And even if you go back to Medina and Mecca, do remember that Muhammad was originally invited into Medina, but then he ended up conquering it. And then he went back to Mecca and conquered Mecca as well. So there is literally no part of the world that ever was originally Muslim. There were always something else that came in and conquered. They came in and conquered the original religion that was there. So just in case they tried to use that argument saying, well, these are Muslim nations because they've always been Muslim nations. No, they weren't. They were originally conquered. Every single one of them was conquered.
Yeah, and around the Eastern Mediterranean, that was part of the Byzantine or Eastern Roman Empire at the time, which was Christian. So those were Christian lands that were taken by Muslims. And the same thing with Spain, that happened there. So if you don't mind taking the map down, before then, you can say, well, weren't there barbarians that had taken over the Western Roman Empire? The answer would be yes. They were primarily the Visigoths who were in Spain at that time. But they had adopted a lot of the Roman culture, including Christianity. So they were, to a large degree, an extension of Rome in culture, at least, not necessarily in politics, but they were in culture. And that culture was starting to develop at that time. And had it not been for the 7/11 invasion, Rome, that part of Europe may have seen an end to the Dark Ages faster than what had happened later. So, and the claim is, what about all the literature that was translated in Al-Andalus in Muslim Spain? Those were done by mostly Jewish and Christian translators, and most of those documents were in the Eastern Roman Empire anyway, so it really wouldn't have mattered a hill of beans had they come in. So they probably would translate it anyway.
So in your opinion, what would be the biggest contribution that Islamic Spain has given us? Not coming from some other source, just strictly from Islamic Spain.
The biggest contribution, positive or negative?
I'm just saying biggest contribution, period.
The biggest contribution, I think, would have been introducing slavery to that region that did not have it on the industrialized level as what it was before.
So the Christians there weren't trading slaves in nearly the same level as the Muslims who came in?
No.
So the biggest contribution that they have is just to increase the slave trade, which we all condemn.
Yeah, it also helped form Spain, I guess, just basically through hardship. There were Spanish kingdoms. There was at the time there was Leon, Castile, Asturias, Galicia, Aragon, and others that they had to learn how to fight. There was a real militarism that had to be developed there to be able to push them back as part of the Reconquista. And that mentality helped grow the Spanish Empire after the fall of Granada in 1492. 1492, we know that Columbus sailed the ocean blue, but there was another huge event that happened then also at that same time. Do you know what that was?
Was that finally kicking the Muslims out of Spain itself?
That's
at the same time. That's not that long ago.
No, it wasn't. And so that's what helped propel. Of course, Columbus had his voyages supported or financed by Ferdinand and Isabella in Spain. After that time, when they had those, finally Granada had fallen. So Spain would have been totally different. Now you can say they contributed to the later Spanish Empire because of Islam. It was in there at that time. They had to fight Islam.
Yeah, and could have had a lot more people alive too.
Do we have any questions?
Couple of questions here.
Is it a Mormon book? No.
Is it one of the tablets? Is it one of the golden tablets?
No, it is not.
Special revelation.
Actually, that's the best question so far, believe it or not. So it is not.
I think it was a serious question. I think it was a serious question, trying to figure out if it was or not.
No,
I would not promote a Mormon book.
My own personal background is evangelical background, so it's conservative Christian, Protestant. So you would have that in there. Question: how do we use individual gifts, possessions, and ideas for Christ? Does your book discuss these ideas? How do we use individual gifts, possessions? I guess the book does kind of talk about that, because a big question with Francisco, he has his stone that'll heal anything. So the big question is, what do you do with that? And in a way, that is, what do you do with our gifts? Gosh, that's a toss-up. Which is a better question? The book being Mormon, or this being the question? They're both good. They're both good questions. So yeah, it does show how a big part of the book is how Francisco deals with the healing stone, and when to use it, when to not, and who to heal. Should he heal the enemy? These different questions come up.
That's a rough one.
That is a rough one. There's a lot of moral quandaries that are in there.
So here we go again.
On the second thing about your book, the tone and pacing of the speech does not match the music in the background.
I think of the trailer. He's referring to the trailer.
Oh, the second trailer. The
Okay.
tone and pacing of the speech does not match.
I had nothing to do with the trailer. So
Yeah, the voiceover, I tried to get the voiceover to change a little bit. I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about it being a little more monotone. And it's like, then I hid. It's like, we'll put a little more enthusiasm in there. It was not me. I was not speaking. It was somebody else who was speaking. They did the voiceover.
Yeah. I think the stone reference is what threw him.
Oh.
Stones and the whole hat.
Okay.
Okay. Stones, I think it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been a while since I've reviewed their
okay.
belief system.
So
it's weird.
So a little bit of a spoiler. A little bit of spoiler with the stone. This is where you get the sci-fi cross. Should I say anything about that?
It's your book. You do whatever the heck.
So there is a bit of a twist that happens later in the book, but I'll go ahead and spoil it right now because I think it is kind of relevant to the question you're asking. The stone that Francisco inherits has been in his family for generations, and he doesn't know exactly how it works. Nobody knows how it works other than how to use it. You press it on somebody who is hurt, and it heals them. Well, you find out later in the book that this is not a magical device. It is a 26th century first aid device used for the military. And it uses nanotechnology to heal, to diagnose and heal whoever's out in the field. They were injured, they were shot. They use the stone as a first aid device. It heals the injury. And so what happens when time travelers lose their tools? Stuff like this. Something in the future, which looked like a miraculous device, ended up being no more than maybe part of a med kit that a soldier would use. And so a little discouraging when Francisco finds this out, and he does discover this later on in the book, when the people who originally created the stone come looking for him because he's important.
So, okay, let's see here. Yes, he was referring to the trailer with it being like monotone or whatnot.
Yeah.
Seems weird when we got epic music in the background.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I guess it's having limited devices to be able to put these things together. I liked it. I think you're right. I think the tone does not match. I think what he says is powerful. And the music is powerful, but maybe not just the.
Now you need him to say it while the music is playing in the background. Yes.
And there's a lovely person.
Oh, well, if you have
congratulations on this. I'm so glad to see the writer and friend who made it to this stage. Hi, Ryan.
He's the voice.
He's the voice.
Well, I think it would have been better if you would have him. Did you have the music picked out at the same time as he was speaking?
Yeah, we tried to redo it, and I really like it. Of the two trailers that we looked at, that one.
Oh no, that was definitely got the most votes.
That one by far is the best.
That's solid.
So, I think it's good. I think he has a good voice. I love the brother. I wasn't gonna say anything. Then he showed up.
Yeah, caught with band sound. Okay,
that's all right. It works.
So a couple more right here. Right here.
How does the stone work? Throw stone, hit giant fall down. There was a time in the story where Francisco thought it was David's stone. He thought it was a relic because you're talking about medieval times here, right? So a relic is actually a part of a saint, like a finger or something like that. But a relic can also be associated with a saint. So he believed it was David's stone that slew Goliath at one time. And here he finds out later. Oh, no. I got one in my pocket here. You want to see it? And it's like the only one. It's not the only one that was ever existed. in his family. It's crushed his family. Can you imagine what that would do to a family, having a secret like this for a long time? Do you use it for money? Do you use it for whatever? And there have been generations that have come before him where people would use it for that. So the idea with the stone is it has, I don't know if you can really see it on the, it's not really going to show you, but the image on here, it has little symbols, and these are hungry marks. You have the,
I should have a zoomed up version.
these are what's called hungry marks, and they appear if the nano factory that's inside the stone. Yeah, you can barely see it there. Right there, some writing above the black writing that's on the stone. Those will appear if the stone is so-called hungry, which means that it needs to be fed. And Francisco, there's another book that came out before this, a short story. It's called The Child of the Stone. And that shows when this stone was originally discovered by Francisco's great-great-great-great-grandfather, Juan. And with the stone, he also finds some instructions about this. And he creates this paste that has primary minerals that are needed for nanotechnology reconstruction. So it makes the nano robots within the stone itself. And so it needs material for that. And after repeated use, it'll show up basically like a fuel gauge that it needs these on there. And Francisco, by ritual, will create these. He also recites a Hebrew prayer, a prayer in Hebrew that he thinks almost like magical to make it happen, and puts the stone on. And here it's just timing for the stone. It just takes a certain amount of time to heal, which happens to be the same amount of time it is to say the verse, the prayer in Hebrew. And I have the Hebrew memorized. It's Beka ori ana eni Eloe tziki baktar hirhaftali honeni ushama tefillati. And it is the first few verses of Psalm 4. And he didn't know that. Francisco was just taught by his family just to say this thing. And he believed that is what incantated the stone, but it wasn't.
So empty recitation.
What's that?
So empty recitation.
Yeah, empty recitation too. But
Mary says boo.
Boo.
Boo. Boo for what? Boo that we're here. Boo as in you're surprising us. You need to be much more
welcome, Mary. It's good to have you. Good to have you. Joseph Smith, you see your yes, these are not magical. What were they? They were prismatic, weren't they? They were shaped in a pyramid shape. Be able to see the golden tablets and read them. Yeah, this is not
nothing to do with that.
This is not that. This is actual technology thrown back into the 13th century, and see what people try to make of it.
So awkward.
Yes, brother.
Well, my wife had a critique on that.
You should have had more once you had realized he is here.
You should have hated more once you realized he's
here.
You should have really gone after him.
No. He's a pleasure to work with.
So stone fuel?
Yes, coal is part of it, actually, and mispickle and some other elements that are needed for it. He has a list that he goes through and make sure that he always has that with him when he does this healing. And one of the moral questions that comes up, would you, especially in battle, if it's not in battle, if the enemy is there, would you heal the enemy? Okay, so let's say there's you're Christian Muslim. This, and would you heal a Muslim if you have a chance?
Christian versus Muslim, right?
So you're a Christian
in one of these historical battles.
No, I'm not even talking historical battle. I'm talking about in peacetime. You're there, and even now, if you had the ability to pray for or just physically heal someone who is a Muslim, would you do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Christians would be. You could even argue that Christians would be obligated to.
Yes.
They don't get the right to say no. As far as I would, not help this individual if it was within our power to do so.
Right. And so that goes beyond saying that you would. Now, put that in a war situation where it is a conflict and the enemy's, it is an enemy combatant. Would you heal an enemy combatant?
After I locked him up, sure.
Yeah, so
Once I knew that he was not going to harm me or anyone else in a safe situation.
Yeah, because my job is to harm them during war, right?
Oh, so it's their job. So
right.
They're doing their job. You're doing your job.
Right.
Yeah.
But as a medic,
they're a captive.
If I'm working as a medic, and let's say there's a sort of a MASH hospital, temporary hospital set up, tents and everything, and they bring the enemy in, am I, it's the Geneva Convention thing, I don't know, am I obligated to give them the same level of treatment that I would to my own soldiers? And I think we have some comments here about that. I'd like to see what people are saying about that. POWs are supposed to have their injuries treated. Yeah. Yes, and I think that's proper. And I would agree with Eric here about that too, is that, okay, you treat him, but he's also kept as a prisoner of war, but you treat that prisoner of war as you would like your own prisoners to be treated. And I think it's good across the board. So the healing stone can reattach chopped off limbs.
That's a good question.
So
can it reattach chopped off
So
limbs? One
of the questions that Francisco had in here is that he had seen it pretty much heal anything. Not death. When someone had died, it's too late.
So it can't revive someone or bring them back from the dead.
Yeah.
Can't raise the dead.
Reattach wounds, limbs. It did not appear in the story necessarily. Maybe, possibly, kind of. Could have happened. No spoilers. But at one point, Francisco witnesses and this is the most brutal part of the movie, in the book, he witnesses a decapitation. And the question he has is like, I never thought about it. Would the stone, and then he is petrified because basically he can be healed at any time with the stone.
So it seems to be a magical device, although it's technological. But there are strict limitations.
There are limitations
to it.
To what it can do.
It can run out of fuel. It can run out. It might not be able to do everything. You know, if someone cuts off someone's head, who knows if that actually heals them or not. You know, your arm falls off. Does it regrow a new arm, or do you have to reattach your other one? You gotta attach
these
it.
Are good questions.
Oh, no, it's not working.
These are good questions. I think Old Catholic has the best questions so far.
So far, he's in the lead.
Your lovely wife is runner up with that so far. I think there too. Wolverine healing from the comic book, I guess. So, gosh, I want to be able to say some stuff, but it's too much of a spoiler. He was told by his father, as far as the Wolverine thing goes. Okay, so you can imagine. So now your mind's starting to have fun with this and think like, what would you do with a stone that could heal anything? And you could his uncle wants to use it for money, and Francisco's like, I want to do what my dad wanted me to do. Okay, because there's a whole thing in the very beginning. I don't want to too many spoilers here, but his father told him, do no harm lest you break the charm, meaning that if you bring harm to someone else, the stone won't work. So it basically judges your actions. And the idea is that the hand of a healer cannot be a fighter. The hand of a healer cannot be the hand of a fighter. So he had to choose which path he was going to go. And he's a big kid. And he ends up on the streets. And that makes it rough on him because he can't really defend himself.
Interesting. Okay. Hey, welcome, Andrew. We are currently doing a contest for the best question that's out there. Whoever gives us the best question, I guess, gets a free copy of John's book.
And
ebook version.
Yes, ebook version. And the way that works, by the way, is I give you a link You go to the link. If you don't mind, give me your email address, and then you download the download the link, and it'll put that in your. This would be a Kindle, so it would put it into your Kindle. If that is not going to work for you, please let me know, and I'll get you something else instead, another form.
So,
were you decided to write the story? Were you first drawn to the time traveling adventure or the moral questions of healing stone and other future tech? God, man, they're getting some good questions now. I was inspired, believe it or not, by Doctor Who and some of the original stories way back when. And the original concept for these stories started back in the early 1980s. So this has been something that's been germinating a long time. It is, like I said, first of a series. And so this is, Francisco is the one of 6. There are 6 recruits that are supposed to end the time war. And so this is one, and we have the others. One of them, I will tell you, is going to be in Muslim Africa. So if you're interested in looking at the Islamic side, the Islamic Christian arguments that are going back and forth, that part is also coming up in an upcoming book. So to answer your question, I would say they kind of came both together at the same time. It's both the moral quandary and the time travel, the sci-fi aspect of it, well, at the same time. Seems arbitrary to say that the hand of a healer cannot be a fire. It opposes Ecclesiastes 3 in a way. Yes.
No, you didn't say that that's actually what happens in the story. You just said that that was his perspective.
That was his perspective. Yes. And I'm not taking either a dove or hawk position on it. I guess if I was pushed to the fence to it, I'd say that I'm more of a hawk than I am a dove. There is a time and place, but you be very careful when you draw that sword. And when you draw that sword, make sure it ends quickly with a good purpose. Okay, so I think we have a definite winner for the trailer. It is the second trailer we showed. By far, it is the better winner of the two. And if there, I think, did we have another question there?
I don't think that was for us. I think that was for Jack Ray.
Okay. It is very difficult to decide where the line is going to be drawn for the best question. I would say we really have 2 candidates as the best questions here. Who asked the last question there? John, what would you do with a stone that heals anything? Oh, man.
He has an inside scoop here. Smells like an inside scoop to me.
I think so. What would I do with the stone that heals anything? This is a good question that I think maybe we should all be asking ourselves. And in the second book in the series, it asks a deeper question: is why doesn't God heal everybody? And if you have the ability to heal anyone, why stop with just the people you know? Why not just go to a local hospital and keep going and keep going and keep going and going to the cancer center? Start curing everybody there. Go to the neonatal unit where you have infants in distress. Heal them. I guess because we don't have the perspective that God has. Why when Jesus left the earth were there people that were still crippled? We know that there was at least one, and that was when you see the beginning of Acts. You have Peter coming across someone, and you have a beggar at one of the gates, and Peter says, "Silver and gold I have none, but what I give you, in the name of Jesus, I give you, rise up and walk." And so that guy apparently was there when Jesus was there. Why didn't Jesus heal him? So right back at you, buddy. Deal with that one.
Okay. I think the last question here. We're going to need to start wrapping up pretty soon.
Chop in half, so you got 2 stones. Oh, I never
don't
thought
think
about
that'd
that.
work. You said this is technological, so I'm thinking like a
It
computer
would break it,
system
yeah.
in there. So you chop it in half, and you got a bunch of electronics in there. That would be creepy for someone in the Middle Ages. Chop it up, and then it's got like a circuit board or something in there. That would be creepy.
Whatever's used in the 26th century, yeah.
Yeah, that could get really, really strange.
Yeah, boy. It's a good thing, though. Just don't throw the stone into a latrine, dig it back up, and then put it in a large box for people to walk around and put their hand. That's not a bad idea. You know,
That's what they do with the black stone.
I know. That's
what they do with the black stone. It's disgusting. I'm just glad Muslim didn't get this healing stone. That would have been a whole different issue.
Yeah, the question: what would have happened?
You have a new Kaaba pop up. They'd start worshiping it.
Well, they started healing
just
people
go
too.
You could actually have a much better argument than the current stone in the Kaaba. It's like it actually does something. So
make sure people don't worship it while saying that they are monotheistic and definitely not pagans.
Exactly.
Yeah, famous last words.
John throwing stones at pagans.
Metaphorically. I live in a glass house, so I can't do that.
Oh, it's intellectually. That's what you bet. It's all intellectually.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So who is the winner?
I would. Man, this is really tough to say. I would say Old Catholic. I think he came up with the best one here. So we're going to put up a link. It's very difficult to try to figure out which is the best way to do this, but I think we're going to try this. He's going to put in a link that you can click on, and that will bring you to a web page where, if you don't mind, enter your.
Yeah, I'm not getting. It's not linking to anyone, so I don't know if Catholic's still there. He might not be.
Oh no! If he's not there, then we'll give it to the next person.
Who would be the next person?
Did Andrew Martin, did he have a question there that he asked? Or are we looking at I think maybe Jack.
Jack, you think Jack got it?
I think Jack Ray.
Jack Ray. Okay, Jack Ray, you got it.
Yeah, and he's still here.
Yes, he is, because it immediately.
Sorry, it's one of those, like, tickets that you have when you go to a convention or whatever. You have to actually be there to receive the ticket. So there you go, brother. Your free version. And if that doesn't work out for you,
here's this question. What did I get?
You don't even know what he won. You won the ebook.
Wait, I won something?
You actually won something. Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. Yep, we'll link to a free book. So thank you guys so much for joining us. John, what do you got coming up? I know you just finished this, published.
Wow.
What is coming?
We are going to do, the plan is the movie Inception. Going to do a review on the movie Inception coming up this next Tuesday night. And look at that. It's been a while since we've done a movie review. I want to get back into that a little bit. And look at that. There's not really a whole lot coming out. There is the what is it? Red something. That's the next Captain America movie that's coming out.
They have another one.
Yeah, they
haven't quit yet.
This is one they had to had to do like 8 retakes on it. It has Harrison Ford, so it looks promising.
Confidence.
No, and the main actor has gotten a lot of flack about some anti-American things he said recently. So debating whether we're going to actually do that or not. Don't know if there's really going to be any interest in that movie whatsoever. But that is the only one that I see coming out. There's some that are on streaming services that we might dabble into. But the problem with streaming services, they get really kind of raunchy on some of these shows.
It's all gone downhill.
So it's difficult to say.
I'll save it
So,
with angels.
but that's what we're going to review, and then we're going to look at some more things after that.
So thank you guys so much for joining me. I will be joined later tonight by Mary, who's in the chat. We are going to be doing some Quran burning tonight. It'll be a little bit of a bonfire.
Now, why would you do that?
Why? That's because they killed the famous Quran burner in Spain. I can't pronounce
Sweden.
Sweden. I can't pronounce his name. I butcher the snot out of it. But he was killed last night on a live stream. He was gunned down, and he had his court appearance today. So the Muslims weren't even willing to wait for the government to roll over and do what they wanted anyway, because they were rolling over and doing what the Muslims wanted anyway.
Okay.
They decided that they were going to take him out and gun him down for burning a book that he owned.
Yeah.
So, because they persist to do this and say that they want to stop people from doing it, and because they want to stop someone from doing it, they're going to kill them for just doing it once or a couple of times. I forget how many times they actually did it. We're going to burn them a whole bunch. So there's, yes, keep your book away from me.
Stay away.
Not that book. It's the Quran itself. So we will be doing a Quran burn and checking out the history of that. I need to book that live stream right after we're done with this because it happened this morning. I have not yet had enough time to actually schedule it.
Okay, so don't forget that he's coming on
in about an hour and a half ish.
Wow,
quick. So 5:30 ET. So
Eastern Standard Time, EST.
EST. Well, it kind of changes.
Oh, do they? Okay, Eastern time. Okay,
it's weird. I don't keep track of that anymore.
Okay.
Needless to say, about an hour and a half from now, we'll be starting, weather dependent. My wife said no. I don't know what no means, but it's no.
Okay.
So I know Mary will be joining me there. I might have a couple of other guests join me. This is going to be an extraterrestrial extraterrestrial time. So that will be actually outside, so it's kind of weather dependent. So we'll get on there and just have a little bit of a bonfire, maybe some marshmallows.
Oh,
maybe some graham crackers. Maybe
will they
some
be halal
s'mores.
then if they're
100% halal? You know, s'mores made with 100% Quran paper. So that should be tasty.
You know, usually I wouldn't support anything like this, but if they're going to put the book above someone's life, I would say burn it.
And again, message to the Muslims, I'm not getting upset about this. It's very simple. Stop killing people for a stupid book. You have so many copies of it. Just because he burns one copy of it, it's not like he destroyed all the copies of it.
I wouldn't want somebody to burn the Bible, but someone's life is not above a paper book, even being the Bible. Now, I believe the Bible is the Word of God, but life is more. You can reprint a book. You can't reprint someone's life like that.
Absolutely. So I'll see you guys there in a little bit.